Well, Ross, here we are in one of our favourite places, back on the Isle of Islay. We're at Ardbeg Distillery today with distillery manager Colin Gordon. Once again, what a treat.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Us
Lovely to
bothering
see
you, hassling you for drams. Thank you so much for putting up with us. Today, we've got quite a kind of a celebratory product, a very sort of interesting release, which is something we've been looking forward to trying for ages.
Listen, we're always willing to be that head of research, that, you know, give that sensory experience with you, Colin, and try something new from Ardbeg. What is it we're trying today?
So this is a release that has gone down very well. This is Ardbeg Eureka.
Nice.
So we have a very special bottling because it was selected by members of the Ardbeg Committee. So the committee we have to, 200,000 members from around the world to celebrate Ardbeg Committee. This at Face 2023 we had a thing called Operation Smokescreen. It was very secretive, even I didn't really know what was going on.
It's all very Ardbeg, isn't it?
Yeah. And we invited up 100 committee members,
Okay.
and then there were loads of different samples for them to try, and they sort of picked their favourites. And this is a
Interesting.
marrying of the two favourites they picked.
Interesting.
And my understanding is that you kind of emailed all the committee members that were arriving and then just picked a random 100 out of that group. So there was maybe groups of 6 or 7 committee members say, okay, you 3, we need you for a second.
Yeah.
Come try this out. Got their lab coats on.
There was a buzz about the place. There was some
imagine.
real excitement.
And so for people that don't know about the Ardbeg Committee, it's a massitive membership that you've had for 25 years now.
Yeah, so this is the 25-year celebration of committee, and it was founded because Islay loves a committee, right? There's committees for everything. I mean, I've been on Islay 12 years, and I've been invited to a few committees. I was even once asked to join the ferry committee, but I like to walk down the street in peace, so I said no. Right, you're not going to join that.
I love that.
But we wanted to form a committee to make sure the distillery never closed its doors again. And as I say, hundreds of thousands of members all over the world.
Yeah.
140 countries, from
Unbelievable.
Homo to Burkina Faso.
Hey!
You had that up your sleeve, very good. Like that one.
And so this release here, 52.2%.
Yep.
And again, you're looking at altering that spirit because you're using a different kind of roast on your malt,
Yeah,
etc.
so it was a combination of 2 samples that the committee members that were here chose. So one is standard Ardbeg spirit, so 55 ppm, heavily peated malt, ran through as normal, matured in Pedro Jimenez sherry casks. So classic Ardbeg, but with lots of that great raisins and sweetness, dates and spice that come from the sherry casks, from the PX casks. But then we brought in a sample that they really, really liked was Ardbeg, but we had changed the mash bill where we used 20% low phenol standard malt.
Okay.
So not as peaty as what we would normally use, but we used about 80% of heavily roasted dark malt.
Sure.
So like almost black malt. And
Okay.
what happens with this malt is when you're kilning, so there again no peat used in the peating, in the
Malting process.
kilning it through the malting process. But then when they're drying it, you just elevate, you ramp up the temperature, and you end up sort of caramelizing. You sort of cook the malt, and you get a thing called the Maillard reaction. I love my chemistry. The Maillard reaction, where you're it gives you sort of coffee notes and dark chocolate flavors.
Does it make it hard to work with?
Oh, it's a nightmare because when your yields drop, but here it's all quality first, so I don't have to explain myself
Yeah, of
if
course.
the litres of alcohol plummet. But it's difficult to mash as well.
Sure.
When you mill this malt, because it's so essentially heated so high, it just shatters, it just breaks. So that's why you have to mix it, if you like, with standard malt, but it's also to make sure that the enzymes are there because it's been so cooked, if you like, roasted so heavily in the kiln, your enzymes are damaged, so it won't convert the starch to sugar in the mash tun. So you have to use normal malt to give it the
And so
enzymes.
we've sometimes heard people refer to this as chocolate malt.
Yeah.
For example, when Glenmorangie done their Signet,
Well, it's similar. This is just a wee bit
it's even
heavier
more heavily
roasted.
roasted. And so we're looking for a textural difference there then?
It does help with texture and mouthfeel, and because we don't chill filter Ardbeg, that mouthfeel is really important for us.
Well,
But yeah, it does. It's got a great. It's a beauty. It really is.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. The sample that they tried that was made from this heavily peated, the heavily peated, heavily roasted malt.
That ultimately won on that day.
When they brought it together with the PX, that they were the two that really stood out for them. And
I've seen it. You combined them there and then.
Well,
obviously, you say we like this one and we like this one.
They played
Sometimes
about. There were different
them.
Groups went off and did different things. Like I say, only a chosen few were there. Well, apart from the 100 invited.
And as you say, committees can be a struggle.
Yes,
Getting everyone to agree to anything.
To be fair, you've got a committee of super fans there, so one way or another it's going to come out in a positive sense.
So passionate about what we do, absolutely. So,
and before we even try this, it's 52.2%.
Yes.
It's a special release from Ardbeg, and it's 68 quid.
Yeah, that's 25 years of committee, and because they were so involved with picking it, we've got such a range of price points. We wanted this to be accessible, and it has. I mean, it's flown off the shelves. There's still some here just now at the distillery.
So people can come to Isla to get their hands on the bottle. But
if this video is being watched, it depends when.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
But it was a really good seller when it was first released, was it?
Yeah, absolutely, because it's done something very different. You mentioned Glenmorangie Signet, obviously our sister distillery up north of Tain. There is a definite Signet feel to it, but when you...
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Yeah, Signet for me, I remember having it maybe aged 19 or 20, and I'd never had anything like it.
Yes,
yeah.
I remember at that point, you know the thing where you swirl it and look at the legs to see the weight of the whiskey and stuff. And it just stuck there for about an hour.
Yeah, I've had such a similar experience. I think I tried cognac for the first time and then tried Glenmorangie Signet within that couple of weeks and was like, wow, this doesn't feel to like a whiskey to me on the palate. It feels like a cognac. That's how umptuous it was. What are we thinking of the nose of this, Laurie?
I think it's a lovely combination of that PX. I think it's unmistakably Ardbeg, but it doesn't. The smoking isn't too aggressive. It's not going to scare people away.
Once again, I think the nose is almost teasing me in here because I don't think I get too much of that big ashy smoke that you expect of Ardbeg at all. I think it's got a richness.
Yeah, it is. It's quite funny how the smoke changes, and we go into depth of it. There's a sort of like a lovely savoury smoked meat thing, but there's loads of chocolatey coffee, and wait till you taste it. This blast of like milk chocolate you get.
I mean, it's such a distinct spirit, isn't it? The other thing is always suit and fruit. That's kind of Ardbeg hallmarks. There's some of that coming through, but almost like an added layer of deliciousness with that.
It's got a wee fizz to it, you know. It brings up that spice, the PX cast, that lovely cinnamon sort of.
That's just an absolute belter.
That's such a great.
And do you know what it is? It's coffee. It's coffee that I'm getting. You said it, and
like a mocha. Maybe I'm going back.
Yeah,
to the
I like it.
chocolate
I like it.
But there is that real coffee, rich, and there's again a fruitiness to it. These like sort of lovely dark fruits coming through, berries or cherries or something.
It's a smart way to produce a bottling as well. Obviously, in 2025, there's so many distilleries, so many expressions. Even lowland distilleries are doing a peated version. There's so much experimentation. Drinkers are spoiled for choice. So for you to go to your most diehard fans and say, "What do you want us to do?"
Yeah.
They can't complain about the outcome at all. And as you say, for 68 quid, it's an absolute steal.
Drinks really well at the strength as well.
Yeah.
Again, maybe that is adding to the texture. I think that's my favourite Ardbeg I've ever had. I really do.
Yeah. Do you know?
I genuinely think that it's just so Moorish.
It's brilliant.
I feel a wee bit guilty how much I like it because it is that chocolate and coffee and.
No, but look, we talk about this a lot, right? Everyone's palate's different. And Ardbeg, that classic big ashy mouth coating, it is ramped down significantly. And like you say, it's definitely Ardbeg, but it's, depending on the cask or what we're doing, it's amazing how just by altering with the cask type with the PX, but also by just changing your mashing bill, different malt type really has added something so different.
How's the nose for you with a few drops of water? I feel like you didn't lose much.
No, I would agree.
Adding water.
I would agree. I think the nose is so welcoming. It's quite light, but also has background richness and savouriness. The palate is, you've said mocha, now it is chocolate and coffee combining with smoke. But again, the smoke, I've often said I struggle to get past peat and that my palate was immature to heavily peated whiskies. But there's so much flavour here that I'm not just getting peat and then having to think about it. I'm getting this mouthful of chocolate and coffee, and then I'm going, oh, this is also an Ardbeg.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm on the island because I'm going to get a bottle.
Yeah, so it's classic Ardbeg because that chocolate, you say mocha, whatever's going on, the coffee, chocolate thing, but that, again, herbal, we talk about it quite a lot. It's like an aniseed clove.
Yeah.
You often get quite a herbal thing, and that's just, again, through the distillation with the purifier, it pushes some of these notes through. But I'm delighted you love it.
And
Yeah,
thank you
it's
for
really
listen.
impressive.
Thank you for sharing it with us, Colin. Always a pleasure to try some
What a
Ardbeg
treat
for
for the
yourself.
committee as well.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Al. Cheers.
If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Bevvy content. We want to hear what you think, your best whiskey experiences, the whiskies you want us to try. It's a really exciting journey we're on, so make sure to join us. Download the Bevvy app on Google Play and App Store to keep track of your whiskey journey, connect with your whiskey friends, keep track of your favourites, anything you could ever want to do with whiskey, all in one place. It's the definitive whiskey companion.